Well, congratulations. You made it to the end of this week, and well, way to go. This is the end of the first week of 2025, which means you've successfully made it to the third day of 2025, unless you're listening to this later, which will work just fine. Closing out this week on the power of pre-deciding, decisions that you can make that will have absolute compound interest in your life and in the lives of others around you. We've explained what pre-deciding is. It's just deciding ahead of time before you get into a situation. This is who I am going to be. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm not going to do. Talked about pre-deciding to trust God, pre-deciding to live generously, pre-deciding to honor God with your body. And then I'm going to do a fun one today, pre-decide to be an influencer. So I'm very middle-aged at this point. And it's kind of funny because when I was growing up and you would ask people what they want to be, doctor, lawyer, ball player, fireman, cowboy, things like that. And what I've noticed is there's a lot of kids now, if you ask them what they want to be when they grow up, they want to be an influencer. Because, this is now an actual job economy that people have. Most influencers aren't influencing for anything worthwhile, but you can, if you hit it really right and you got some kind of luck in the game too, you can become an influencer, and hopefully people pay you money to do that. But we realize that most influencers, when we're talking about Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, YouTube, most influencers are a cancer and a poison and are using it absolutely for their own good. And I want to encourage you, as just my fourth challenge and the last one of this week, pre-decide to be an influencer. Pre-decide to be an influencer for the sake of Jesus. There's a really cool verse in 2 Corinthians chapter 2, starting in verse 15. It says, "For we are the aroma of Christ to God among those who are being saved and among those who are being perishing. To one a fragrance from death to death, and the other a fragrance from life to life." Who's sufficient for these things? So it's really neat. The Apostle Paul says that believers, we are like an aroma to those around us of God. Like we are the aroma of Christ. Isn't that kind of crazy to think about? That in your life, if you say that you follow Jesus, if you say that you belong to Jesus, there are people around you that are judging the truth of the message of God by how you live your life. Now, I had something like this that really hit home to me when I went away to college. I ended up having a college roommate who was a Mormon, and I knew stuff about the Mormon church. I knew that it was a false belief, but I knew that they were known for being really good. Not smoking, not drinking, not cussing, and all this stuff. And my roommate, I liked him. We were friends, but I quietly watched him like a hawk for a few weeks at the beginning of my freshman year of college to see, did he read his Book of Mormon? What was he looking at on the computer? How did he talk in mixed company? How did he talk when it was just guys? What was he really like? And after 3 or 4 weeks, I remember sitting there thinking, you know what? He's no different than anybody else. There's no truth or power into what he says he believes. Like he just acts like everybody else. And after I had that thought, it was like immediately I felt like the Holy Spirit speaking in my heart saying, Jay, you say you're a Christian, and that is exactly what other people are doing to you. They are watching you. They're not telling you that they're watching you, but they are watching you, and they are judging whether the Christian message has any truth or power based on how you're living your life. You are an aroma of Jesus, Jay, and you're a stinky aroma right now. And so that was really convicting and kind of a crazy thing that ended up helping me move towards Jesus. So we have to remember that as a Christian, you are your neighbor's perception of Jesus. And so we want to be a good perception of Jesus. And if you, in your normal life, like smells are really powerful. Have you noticed that? Like the way people smell, it can really attract you to them or it can repulse you from them. And I think it's the same thing in our faith. Your faith can be very attractive to people. And if your faith's done wrong, it can be very repulsive. So if you're going to pre-decide to be an influencer, here's, I think, 1 Timothy 4:12 helps lay out. How are you going to do that? Don't let anybody look down on you because you are young, but set an example for the believers in speech, in life, in faith, in love and in purity, in speech and life, in love, in faith and in purity. So this is where you're going to pre-decide to be an influencer. Your speech. Are you using words to build people up, or are you tearing people down with your mouth? Are you a gossip? Are you a dirty mouth? Or do you use your words to build people up? In your life decisions, are you making instantaneous gratification decisions, or are you expecting God's greater reward? And you're doing things in your life that sacrifice now to show that you believe in God and that God's going to reward you later. In your love, to me, love is not a feeling. The best way to describe what love means that I am out for your best. And in the way that you love, is your love more lust, where it's just consuming, like, man, I love Taco Bell, so I'm going to consume Taco Bell. And I love this girl, so I'm going to consume this girl. Or is your love something where it's like, I am out for your best, even if it means sacrifice to me? That's what real love is. In your faith, do you live your life in such a way that you show that you believe that Jesus rose from the dead, that you show that you believe that he's truly king? And then in your purity, speech, life, love, faith, and purity is what 1 Timothy 4:12 talks about. In your purity, remember yesterday we talked about honoring God with our bodies. Purity is not the goal. Purity is a pathway to intimacy. So are you walking a path of purity with your ears, with your eyes, with your mouth, and with your body that will help you get close to God and help other people feel safe around you? So you need to realize you are an influencer. You can pre-decide to be an influencer, or you can just pretend like you're not, but you are an influencer. And I want to encourage you, you're going to fail this year. And when you fall, get up, ask for forgiveness, and keep walking forward. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's asking you to literally be Jesus, but you are going to give off the fragrance of Jesus. And so I encourage you this year, pre-decide to be an influencer. Be aware that people are watching you and they're basing their decision on whether the message is worth checking out on the way you live your life. So live it well. God bless you. We'll talk to you again next week.